Hi, Dr. Sam here, helping you get closer to great skin days. Now, today I thought I'd cover a popular topic in clinic, which is how do I go about dosing my skincare correctly? You invest in your skincare and you want to get the most out of it. So that means not overdoing it and causing problems like irritancy, particularly when it comes to the active space, or underdoing it, meaning that you don't get as much out of your cleanser or as much protection from your sunscreen as you possibly could. So let's break it down and go through each step one by one. So when it comes to cleansing, as you probably know, I advocate a single cleanse. Now, what that means is that for the morning, if you're using a pump-based cleanser, usually one pump is around the size of a 2-pound coin or a nickel, and that will be sufficient for your morning cleanse when there's almost nothing on your skin, just a little bit of excess oil and some dead skin cells from overnight. But for your evening cleanse, when you're wearing makeup and sunscreen and the grime of the day is on your skin, you'll want to do something more thorough. Now, for me, that doesn't mean double cleansing. That means using double the amount of product. It means taking your time. It means adopting an almost ritualistic approach to cleansing. And I find that's the way to make one cleanse really count. Other things to consider when you're cleansing is if you're prone to dryness when you cleanse, perhaps your skin is going through that seasonal change, bear in mind that contact with water is one of the big drivers towards dry, irritated skin. So think about reducing the temperature of your water and reducing contact time. So don't stand in the shower for ages, allowing hot water to cascade over your skin. That's going to deplete your barrier by leaching away those essential lipids in your skin. So next, let's move on to the eye area. So if you're using a dedicated eye product, I'm not saying that you have to, but a lot of people like to. I think about treating the eye area with a pea-sized amount of product. Now, some will come with a pump that delivers the right quantity. For other products in a tube, you'll have to use an eyeball to see whether or not that's the right amount. But one thing to bear in mind is that the eyelid extends upwards as well as downwards. I think a lot of people tend to apply eye cream here because that's the area that we all focus on because of dark circles and fine lines. But remember to treat up here because we get hollows in the corner that can lend themselves to looking more tired with that blue discoloration. So remember to treat the eye area as a total zone. Moving on to serums, the sexy category. A lot of them tend to come in dropper format now, and I think this tends to be one of the main investment areas of your routine. It's a leave-on product. It's often laden with key actives like retinoids and vitamin C, so you don't want to waste it, nor do you want to undercook it. So with a serum that comes in a dropper format, if you're applying it over a full face, I would recommend using 5 to 7 drops. If you're taking it down the neck, I would add an additional 2. Of course, the viscosity will determine to some extent how much will be absorbed by your skin, but that's a good rule of thumb for starting. If your serum is more of an emulsion or a cream or a gel, and I don't think that one is superior to the other, just to be very, very clear about that, it's simply about what's in there and at what percentage. And then it's about how you use it, how often you apply it, whether you apply it to cleanse skin or over moisturizer. Those are the things that will determine what you get in return. But if you're using a cream or a gel-based product, I like to use my fingertip measure, where we're essentially measuring out a line about 3 centimeters long. That's what I consider a fingertip. And I find that works well in delivering the 13-dot technique, which would cover you over the full face. At the beginning though, I would tend to half that dose to a half a fingertip unit, essentially a large P. And again, whilst it's a small amount, if you use a 13-dot technique, you will find that you can make that spread over a full face, so you get all the benefits everywhere. As a final note, make sure to massage any of those sorts of products in thoroughly until they're completely touch dry before you go on to any further steps, to avoid moving them around onto areas that you don't want to affect. So for example, a stronger retinoid, you may not want to go anywhere near your eye area. So that's the safest way to approach it. And do wash your hands between steps if you have any concerns. Now, moisturizer, this is the one step that you truly need to customize because your skin's barrier will need different amounts of hydration depending on the time of day the day of the month, and even the day of the season. So be really in tune with what your skin needs. Now, for some, you might only need a bit of moisturizer here and here. Your sunscreen may provide enough hydration, but for others, you'll need a little bit all over. So I like to use something like between a half a fingertip and a fingertip, depending on where you're going. So if you're just doing around here and here, half a fingertip will be fine. For a full face, I'd go for a full fingertip. Now, the step where the dose is probably the most important is your sunscreen. Now, if you've watched this channel for some time, you will know that 1/4 teaspoon is about the right amount for your face, not your neck, just your face. The problem with that is that different viscosities of sunscreen will look like a different quantity in your hand. Now, we put a pump in Flawless Daily Sunscreen for that purpose. You didn't have to fiddle around with measuring spoons, but I would urge you, if using a sunscreen for the first time, so for example, like this one from Neostrata, which is inherently a more liquid, more viscous format, is to measure it out with measuring spoons so you know what the correct quantity is. And that's the way to be systematic with your behavior day in, day out. Again, the 13 dot technique will help you distribute what might seem like an intimidating amount of product over your skin evenly. And do give sunscreen time to settle in. It's amazing how something that can look a little white on first application over the course of some minutes can actually just meld with your skin and become a lovely bright base for makeup. So please don't skimp. So those are my key tips to help you get the most out of your products, to make sure they last the correct amount of time, that you're not overusing them or pouring them down the sink, or that you're using too much and acquiring irritation or problems through product overuse. I hope you found them helpful. If you did, please subscribe for more content like this, and I'll see you again soon. Bye for now.